a typo. It is 2017.
Yes.
Capron,
Here. I thought it,
Here.
Moore,
here, yeah, I thought it would be.
Here.
Waters.
Here. Can we stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2 is a resolution awarding a contract to Steve Harris Construction for Bridgeport West Improvements Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Go ahead.
This is we got 2 bids for the contract. Both were under the engineer's estimate of $2,177,055. The low bid is Steve Harris Construction at $2,161,737. I just want to note there was one error on the RCA. The anticipated completion is December 2017, as the paper reported, not the 2018 that was in there. So that was just the one error. So I don't think there's anything else that unless you guys, we have to touch base with the contractor. He hopes to get started on the second Monday of August.
That's next Monday.
No, second Monday, the 14th, I think it is. So they'll get their poles and everything ordered, which is going to be the delay on the signals, but they'll get those ordered as soon as the contract's awarded.
They can't start this week. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
We still need to have a pre-construction.
I'm trying, Mark. I'm trying.
Did you bring a road map that you could show,
Oh, you want to pull the map up?
please?
All right.
And just kind of walk us through what we're,
Yep,
the construction on with the intersections and.
I'll let Brett do that.
Is this still first phase?
No, this is second phase. First phase is what was left last year. It's got some minor stuff left.
So this is the road going south to the airport?
No, that's phase 4.
Oh,
This is again, several intersection improvements, including the ramp improvements on the I-29 interchange.
And the extra lane, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the ramp improvements, yeah.
Yeah.
one more lane out on the interstate?
No, not on the interstate, on the off
The
ramp.
ramp.
Right,
Okay.
Well, there it is. I'm not sure how to bring it up, but
there you go.
Just kind of walk us through what we're looking at for phase 2 construction and with the intersections.
everything that's happening with Phase 2 is highlighted in the purple here. I'll start on the kind of the south end is a realignment of Patton Street at Boulevard of Champions. Just to the north there is the intersection of Murray Street. We're adding intersections there as well as a turn signal. The next to the north here is at the intersection of Patton Street and Boulevard of Champions. We are adding lanes here as well and increasing the turn radii so that trucks can get through that intersection easier. Next
Wait a
one,
minute, that's not Boulevard of Champions.
or
Bridgeport.
excuse me,
Okay.
I'm sorry. The realignment of Patton
Right.
Street is at Boulevard of Champions there. The next one would be adding an additional turn lane on Harbor Drive here to get traffic out easier onto Singing Hills. The circle represents a new set of signals that'll be at the intersection here. This next little piece here is some sidewalk modifications. I believe a bike trail addition, or a connecting piece for a bike trail right here. And the last is an additional turn lane
So there'll be 2 right turn lanes on
on the southbound off-ramp there, correct?
the 2 south, or turn right lanes. And then where the circle is with at Singing Hills, is that where we're looking at having some kind of traffic control?
Traffic signal, yep. That'll be coordinated with the traffic signal at the,
Before that, before the actual permanent signal goes in, will it be, that's what we're looking at now for having some kind of traffic flow control?
we talked about having, the police down there to direct traffic, yes.
Yeah, it's in that
Yeah.
spot, isn't it?
Till the
Yeah,
lights up.
Yeah, we'll definitely, once Seaborn gets started, then see how long, I think they're gonna start down there for, as much, all day, and then we'll back down to where we think we're having issues. And we'll probably have to have more than one officer, so we make sure we're not backing the traffic onto 29. Because we're only, in the AM peak, we're getting backup traffic onto 29. The PM peak right now, we're not, so we want to make sure that we're not doing that during the PM peak, and that's when we're having the issues of people getting out of Harbor right now, is during the PM peak.
And you anticipate that's the only intersection that will need that kind of control?
Yes.
In
We did have someone recommended a stop control on South Patton / Singing Hills in the eastbound direction, but I don't think that would necessarily help the delays or, you know, I don't think it would necessarily improve our speed of getting out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Brett, that second right-hand or additional right turn lane coming off the interstate on the off-ramp, will that be to the west of the current lane?
Yes.
The new
Yes.
lane will be the right, would there be enough turning radius for semis, trucks?
That's our understanding.
I believe so, yes. It would have been something that HR Green looked at with the design of this.
Aren't you making the road wider?
Not at the end of the off-ramp here, just an additional turn lane there.
Wouldn't it make sense to make it wider?
I assume it's wide enough currently if they were putting in that additional turn lane, but we could look at that certainly. And
I ask that simply because there are two left turn lanes, as you know, if you were going to go east on Singing Hills. And all the trucks, virtually all of them, stay in the right-hand lane in order to make the turn. That's why I'm wondering if there's enough room there to do that. But if they say there is, there must be.
There's plenty of room for a truck to make it in the inside lane, though, because I've followed them through there.
Okay.
They can,
right
they
Yeah, there's
choose-
only one lane right now, but
What's that?
there's only one lane for right-hand turn.
I'm just saying there are plenty for left-hand turns, they just choose, but I've seen.
Oh,
them
they
turn-
choose to stay in the right?
I've seen them turn, I've followed them through there.
Okay.
Okay, anyone to be heard? State your name and address, please.
Tom Sheening, representing Peterbilt and Sioux City,
Need your address, sir.
2927 South Cornelia.
Okay,
Step on up to the podium.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the issue that you were talking about right here, about the two right-hand turn lanes on the Singing Hills Boulevard, Patton Street, as it turns out to be there, right next to Peterbilt, Sioux City, coming down Interstate 29.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that these representatives talk about having two right-hand turn lanes. That's well overdue, and I was going to suggest that since people are making illegal right-hand turn lanes from the left-hand turn lane, that there must be a safe way to do that until this is finalized. Some of our employees do make the left-hand turn here, go around to the area like McDonald's and make a U-turn and come back and get there faster and safer than that line all the way up the I-20 overpass sometimes. Other employees go all the way down to the off-ramp at Sergeant Bluff and come back Harbor Drive and get there faster and safer than taking the normal turn lanes there. So I'm suggesting that you speed up that part of the process and get more vehicles into the industrial park area and not wait for that to be at the tail end of the project. I have handouts.
you like the idea, you just want that part done first, is that what you're saying?
I think it needs to be, I think it should have been done a long time ago, but sooner the better.
Okay.
Is that at
And
the
to do
front?
it safely and legally.
Well, we haven't got a schedule from it's the contractor's discretion on the schedule, so we'll have to wait till we get a schedule from them. We can request that, but I think it makes sense because it's the easiest spot to start.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is the contractor's discretion.
So I
Okay,
think we agree with you.
Thank you for your time.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm assuming the contractor's not here, huh?
No.
No. We talked to him today, but as far as trying to we're gonna try to get the pre-con scheduled earlier if we can, but.
Anyone else be heard? Okay. Call the roll, please.
Greckin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Any other citizen concerns, please come forward, state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Welsh. I live at 2203 Nebraska Street here in Sioux City. We've been there for a little over 22 years. When we moved in, it was just like any other North Side neighborhood, not perfect, but a lot of beautiful old homes, one of which we purchased. And we've spent the last 22 years improving that house. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, the 23rd of July, there was a murder. A stone's throw from my backyard. And directly across the street from property we own at 511 22nd Street. By the grace of God, my wife was not out front of our property watering landscape plants that we've put in to beautify the property. I was not out teaching our grandsons on the sidewalk how to ride a bicycle. Now, when I say murder, I don't mean a crime of passion. I don't mean something that took place in a building. I mean something that took place outside in the front yard of 506 22nd Street. The victim was washing his car. He was known to his assailants. And when I say murder, I don't mean crime of passion. I mean a hit. The people who did this were professionals. They had a snitch watching him. They waited until he was outside. One of them got out of a car, went behind the property, and cut off the victim's escape route. The other two drove up in front of the property at 506 22nd and came out with baseball bats and a knife, and they beat the man viciously. They stabbed him multiple times. He bled all over the front door of that property. What if I had been standing out there? What if I had been teaching my grandchildren how to ride a bike? Would they ever forget it? If we were lucky enough to walk away with our skin. I'm told these people don't like witnesses. 21 years old. I'm not as quick as I used to be. I can't hear as well as I used to. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be. So I don't know if I could have defended us or not. I would have tried. I'm asking for your help. As you know, the Pierce Street corridor to 18th Street for the last 2.5 to 3 years has turned into a war zone. There have been shootings, there have been stabbings, there have been murders, there have been armed robberies. The come and go at 14th and Pierce Street is nothing but a gathering point for these things. Now, I'm here to speak because my neighbors are probably afraid to speak. I'm not. One of the perpetrators has been caught. We hope the others are caught. But I can tell you that the foot traffic up the alley behind my house at 22nd and Nebraska Street has increased exponentially in the last 1.5 years. If I'm outside working in my garage, minding my own business, and I spend an hour or so, any time of the day, there will be 3 or 4 people that walk by and look in and case the joint. I know what it's like. I spent 5 years in a combat zone, and I do not want to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder because I think somebody's going to do me harm. Now, the help I'm asking for is going to cost money, and it's going to take changes in policies. When I talked to the police officer outside my daughter's business, a very successful business, by the way, at 18th and Pierce, kitty corner across from the old Green Gables, there was a prowler. She called me and Dad said, "Dad, could you come down here? I'm here with my Andrew, baby." I said, "Call 911, I'll be right there." The police officer came, was very polite, very professional, very capable, did a good job. When I asked him about, well, why can't you clean this up? He said, "We don't have the resources." That's the bottom line. We don't have the resources. So what's going to happen is that this isn't going to get better unless something changes. Now, I know Dan. I've met some of the rest of you. I'm a retired Air Force colonel. I know how to get things done. And I'm willing to lead. I'm willing to participate. I'm willing to organize, plan, execute. And I'm not talking about going to meetings where people sit around and talk about barking dogs and dumped over gas cans. I'm talking about real action with real support from you. If I call the city manager's office, what do you think they're going to say? We don't have the resources. If I call the police department, what are they going to say? We don't have the resources. You need to make that happen. This is going to take...
I'm going to stop you right there. Have you called the city manager's office?
Absolutely.
You
I talked
called
to
them.
Jessica just last
And
week.
Bob Padmore told you we don't have the resources.
Absolutely not. I didn't get that far because I wanted to come to talk to you. But I will.
Well, I think that's appropriate because what one person may think is enough resources may be a different opinion because what the police tell us is these are isolated incidents and that our crime statistics are not increasing dramatically. Mm-hmm. In fact, some of them have gone down. And so I guess I'm somewhat...
In that area?
In the whole city.
Believe me,
you
Bob,
can talk about armed
it's
robberies,
not
sir, but
happening.
armed robberies was one isolated individual who found a short time.
Well, the armed robbery I'm thinking of is the one where they took some candy
Well, I don't know about that.
up north of the come and go.
That's not
It's
armed
ridiculous.
robbery to me, but maybe they had a gun to do it. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. I just want to know if you.
Well, thanks. The resources are going to require additional police coverage, additional patrols. City Housing Inspection Service, they come by all the time. Graffiti, trash. It's going to require real visible change. I'm asking for help. I will call the city manager's office tomorrow, and I'll follow up.
He's sitting right there.
I got you. And I think Jessica's right back here, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe. Anyway, the point is, my name is Mike Welsh. I live at 2203 Nebraska Street. My phone number is 712-202-4488. Please call me. We don't need another neighborhood like Rose Hill or the old Smith Villa, because that's what will happen. So please call, give me your help, I'll participate, I'll make it work, but I'm gonna need the support of the city. Thank you. Go ahead,
Mike,
any questions?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to share with you that I think we have a very good police department.
Oh, absolutely.
And your request to us to call you is what I would recommend to you to do with respect to the police department. Every time you see something in the neighborhood that looks out of place,
We do.
they need to know about it.
Thanks,
All
Pete,
the
we
in-
do.
All the information they get goes into a central location, their crime analysis office. They share all that information. I'm not convinced, quite honestly, and I was over there for 38 years, I'm not convinced that they don't have enough resources. Would they like to have more resources? Certainly. The more you have, the more you can do.
Right.
But I can tell you this, they're really good at taking information, forming an action plan, and going out. They have the latitude, the freedom to move people around and to address specific problems. And so I know the more you tell them, and here's the key to why you want to call all the time, because if you're the district officer and you're working that area, you seek compliance. And if they know that you've called, Mr. Welch has called from 22nd in Nebraska.
Right.
10 times
They
in a
do.
particular month, they'll be knocking on your door.
We know
They'll be
Sergeant Harwell
forming-
very well.
Sergeant who?
Harwell.
Sergeant Harwell is a
He's a great guy.
young man, and would be willing, as well as virtually everybody over there, to address the issues. So please call
will.
and get them involved, and I'm pretty sure the city manager will share the information from this
I will.
meeting.
Here's one thing I'd like you to do. Rhonda has a question she'd like to ask. Go ahead.
Well, I just kind of want to make a statement. I totally understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. But I'm going to have to go with Pete here that even if we hired, let's say, 5 more police officers, they're not going to be at your property 24/7.
They can.
And that's the whole thing. This is why we have neighborhood networks, and we have neighborhood watches. And so I'm assuming that there's probably a neighborhood
We do.
watch up there.
They meet on the first Thursday at St. Luke's.
Okay, there you go. And maybe it takes a village. I guess that's what I'm saying. And sometimes we have the resources, like Pete said. But they can't be there every minute of every day.
I realize that. Let me ask you guys to do something. I'm going to ask you to drive by 506 22nd Street and look at it. Just look at it from the outside. And tell me if you think that that property is complying with city code for rental properties. And then what I want you to do is turn north on Pierce Street. And when you get past 23rd Street, on the way to 24th Street, take a look at some of their properties. And you tell me if you think those are complying with city code. They're not. We bought a rental property behind our house because it was going downhill fast. And we've spent some money on it, and we've improved it a lot. Didn't want one of those owners to buy it and let it continue to deteriorate. Now, we're invested big time. What I'm asking for is, and I understand your points about having resources, but what I'm asking for is special attention. I'm asking you to ask commander. When you're a base commander, you own every stick of property on an Air Force base. And if something's wrong, if a curb isn't painted properly, you're going to hear about it. So I know how to make it work.
Okay, so here's my question to you then. Respectfully, I want you to know, how would you make it work?
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Rather than, I will give you a call tomorrow.
I will.
And I will have police command staff, and if I can get Hartwell there, I will have him there as well, and we will come up with solutions to alleviate your problem.
Let's plan on that maybe tomorrow afternoon.
I'll
Would
give
that
you a
work?
call, I'll give you a call, and whenever they're available, if that works for you, we'll meet.
That's great. I'll call you in the morning and then you call me when they're
Very
available,
good.
all right?
Okay, well,
All right,
then that-
I'm sorry for taking up so much of your
Fine,
time.
no, thanks for coming.
appreciate it.
More comments, questions?
No, thank you. Thank you for coming. We
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? If you're gonna speak, Joe, speak now, because we're getting out of here today. We only had one item, so.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Corey. I live at 4605 Correctionville Road, and I was here month or so ago. And what I'm trying to do is get the speed limit on Correctionville Road from Green Avenue to Bacon Creek lowered from 35 to 30, because it's a much safer speed on that road. Correctionville Road is it's in not very good condition, and the mayor brought up the last time about a bike trail. I don't know if Mr. Carney has looked into that.
I don't know if we haven't put any plans or anything together for it, but I think we've done some preliminary looking into it. I think there's some ditch drainage issues along the one side.
Well, from Green Avenue, about a block, maybe not quite a block, on the left-hand side or going east, there's a ditch. There's no place, and on the right, there's the same thing. But there really isn't much room for a bike trail. It's just that I can sit on my front porch, and I live about halfway between Green Avenue and Bacon Creek, and I can look at traffic, and it's, we were talking about the sign, and I have to agree, the speed sign, which I have in front of my house, is very accurate, okay, but it's only measuring speed in one direction. And you were talking last time that you had some equipment. I really think a speed study should be done.
It's on our list.
But I mean, can you give me some time?
I have to talk to Eric how many, there's a number of traffic studies that are on that list. I'd have to see where it is.
It just seems like probably, I've been at this for, I don't know, a year, maybe, trying to figure out how to manage things there. It's just not a very safe road to be on at that speed. And because most of the traffic is created because of Bacon Creek, it's not normal traffic, your everyday traffic. And I'm trying to get the council to understand that, and that you've brought to my attention, I'm sure, and you brought it to their attention last time, where you had changed the speed limit on Hamilton and it created more accidents. Cheyenne? Cheyenne. I apologize. But I'm just trying to get the council to somehow see it from my point of view and actually physically go out and look at that road. Don't sit and take my word for it. Just go from just about as you're coming out of Greenville, coming up top of the hill, the whole road changes.
Well, you know what, before, he's going to do a study on it first, and then he'll get back to us and we'll figure out what's going on.
That seems to take,
Well, it's not going to go any faster with us going out and looking at it.
well,
so-
I think the city council trumps what he has to say.
No, that's not
You
true.
give him
because
directions.
He's doing his job. We're waiting for him.
You might be right, but
I am right.
I talked to traffic management about 2 years ago. You can shake your head and look at me like that, like I'm an idiot, but
No, I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm just telling you that that's the way it works.
Yeah, I know, but I would like the mayor to tell me that then.
I don't have any more power than they do.
That's all I'm trying to say is I'm trying to get some traction here.
Joe, you have a legitimate concern, and I know that Public Works hasn't abandoned your concerns at all. It does take time. You know what could happen, because they'll take a look at what the average speed is, and rather than it go down, it could go the other way, because now you're farther away from downtown, and there are federal guidelines, state manuals they follow in terms of traffic enforcement. So they need to do the study. That's really important. But again, the same thing I'd share with you that I shared with Mr. Welch. It's really important when you see car speeding or you think there's a traffic hazard or a dangerous situation, you need to call the police, because the police can respond, and they're really good. The police department went to community policing about 20 years ago. Probably in almost 4 decades for me, the greatest move and commitment they made was to go to community policing and to work with citizens to solve problems, because they can't do it alone. But with your information, and once they're involved in it, they can come up with plans and ideas on how to address issues. It may not be that it drops. It could stay the same or go the other way. But they'll do their best to heighten their awareness and bring that attention to a lot of people in that area.
The problem really is, like I told you in my house, the speed limit's probably 35, and it should be less because now there's all kinds of houses that weren't there. But it's not gonna matter, because people are gonna go 40 and 45 on that street now. I mean, I take my life into my hands when they're taking kids to school at North High. That's why I get up at 5:30 in the morning and leave before traffic even gets close to there, because you will never get out of the driveway, and if you try, there'll be somebody coming faster. And they've not looked at that speed limit out there, I can guarantee you. Doesn't matter if I'm the mayor or not, they've not looked at that speed limit. And we probably have added 20-some houses in that neighborhood, and the speed limit's still too high.
And actually, I believe your street is on our list because of the side friction, not because of anything you've ever said to me, but it should be looked at. And I mean, that's the thing. We'll go out and look at it, but I mean, based on the information we have from a 2012, I think, we had information from the police department, just this past year, we have information from the police department, shows that it's within 2 miles an hour of the 85th percentile speed.
And I think last time you were here, Joe, we talked too about increased patrol, and having more police officers out there. You said you saw that presence. I mean, I think we're trying to find strategies that allow it to be effective until it comes up on that speed study. I mean, I hope that you see that we are trying to help. We are trying to make sure that there are solutions until it comes up on that.
But all this, I'm just telling you, it's not gonna matter unless you plant a police officer
I
out there
agree.
every day, because people are gonna drive us, they don't care. I mean, I will say, I'll give the police department, I would say their numbers must be up. I've actually seen them pulling people over, and they must actually finally be writing tickets, because they're in their car and the person's still in their car. Which is an indication, maybe they're actually writing tickets this year, Pete.
Well,
And I've said it.
That's the only way you change behavior, is for somebody to have to pay a fine.
You've heard me say it many times, police have this marvelous capacity to influence the behavior of people. I think you even recommended certain hours of the day where the problem is more prevalent than others. And those are the kinds of things they can go out and address. And once people know that it has the attention of the police department and your cooperation in the neighborhood, I think you'll see that it'll have an impact on the problem. I'm hopeful.
I can tell you what, I live on Cheyenne. That's another racetrack. I guess you just get used to it. We have North High at the other end where I live. So, they could have those speed things going on all over town. But the mayor's right. And until you start writing tickets, it's not going to slow nobody down.
I'm not declaring that there's people going over the speed limit. What I'm saying is that when I'm sitting on my front porch, there are a significant number of people going. It's so difficult for me it's an oxymoron thing. When the speed limit is 35, you can't expect people to do 30 or 25. They're going to do 35, some will. But there's a lot that I've noticed that are going a lot less. And that's why I'm saying that I believe that 30 miles an hour is very comfortable. But I request that, and see how nasty that road is, and see that how it can take a car and throw it in a ditch real easy, because the way the curbs are built, the way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
It's not.
It's an old highway road.
Yes, and it doesn't
highway
match
design.
the conditions today. And that's all I'm asking is
I'd be happy to do that.
I've driven it, I mean.
And it went by my place.
I go out to Bacon Creek quite a bit. I've been on the road.
Then you understand what I'm saying.
I understand exactly.
And all I'm saying is that if you set the speed limit at 30, most people will do 30. And I think that's a comfortable street, and I spent some time with Mr. Carney in his office on 2 occasions. And there's people walking along the road, there's bicyclists, there's no trails, there isn't really room for them. And 2 of the children, that were just babies, being pushed in a plastic buggy by their father, is the sheriff's grandchildren. So you got to think about that too. You got to meet somewhere in the middle. And I'm just saying, and that he agrees with me, 30 is a great number.
Yep.
So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Anyone else? Council concerns.
No, I have none.
No,
I'm good.
Move we adjourn.
Second?
Ford.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Greckin.
Aye.
Mike?